What's going on there, everyone? We're following some more developments that's going on with the Iran situation, which is pretty amazing developments when you think of it in our recent history. Trump says he pulled back Iran's strike because of the potential death toll. That's a first. That is a first. The president said the strike would not have been proportionate to Iran's attack on an unarmed drone. President Donald Trump on Friday confirmed that he called off a retaliatory strike on Iran at the last minute Thursday night, saying he decided that the potential cost of human lives was not proportionate to shooting down an unmanned drone. We were cocked and loaded to retaliate last night on 3 different sites. When I asked how many will die, 150 people, sir, was the answer from a general. 10 minutes before the strike, I stopped it, Trump wrote in a series of tweets, adding that not only would such an attack have been disproportionate, I am in no hurry. Our military is rebuilt, new, and ready to go, by far the best in the world. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said Thursday it had shot down an American drone claiming that it had entered Iranian airspace, an assertion sharply disputed by the U.S., which has maintained the drone was over international waters. Both countries have produced what they say is evidence supporting diverging positions. We the people, will probably never actually know the whole truth to whether it was or was not in Iranian airspace. Iran's attack, which took place amid steadily escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran, prompted the president to summon congressional leaders to the White House for a briefing in the Situation Room on Thursday afternoon, and drew mixed reactions from Iran hawks and anti-interventionalists in Congress. But while Trump called the drone downing a very big mistake and apparently later authorized a retaliatory attack before calling it off, the president had earlier suggested he was looking to avoid a military conflict with Iran. I find it hard to believe it was intentional. If you want to know the truth, I think that it could have been somebody who was loose and stupid that did it. The president said in the Oval Office on Thursday afternoon, telling reporters it would have made a big difference if Iran attacked and targeted personnel. Trump's hesitation is indicative of current struggle between different factions of his administration and his own campaign promises to keep the country from entering into any additional conflicts in the Middle East. It is unclear why he apparently waited so long to inquire about the possible casualties stemming from the strike he approved. A New York Times report cited a senior administration official who said that planes were in the air and ships were in position, but no missiles had been fired when word came to stand down. On Thursday, the president reportedly conveyed a message to Iran via neighboring Oman, warning that a strike was imminent and calling for talks between the two countries to de-escalate the growing crisis. In his message, Trump said he was against any war with Iran and wanted to talk to Tehran about various issues, Iranian officials told Reuters. Thursday's events took place against the backdrop of several key provocations over the course of the past several months from both countries. Since Trump's withdrawal from the nuclear deal last year, the U.S. has stepped up its maximum pressure campaign in an attempt to force Iran into returning to negotiations to wind down its nuclear program, using sanctions in an attempt to choke off its lucrative oil industry, and designating Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity. Earlier this week, Tehran vowed that it would drastically ramp up its nuclear program in violation of the Obama-era pact intended to restrain the Islamist country unless the remaining signatories stepped in to blunt the impact of the U.S. sanctions. Sanctions are working. You could see that by the way Iran has acted. That is what this escalation is about. It's the pressure that we are putting on Iran through these sanctions. It's really almost crippling their economy. Even though they're an oil-rich nation, there's a lot of oil in other places that sanctions aren't affecting. And last week, 2 oil tankers in the Persian Gulf sustained damage from an apparent explosion, an attack the U.S. has blamed on Iranian limpet mines. Iran has denied culpability in the incident, which followed similar attacks on tankers in the same region and drone attacks on Saudi oil pipelines last month. The Trump administration, in response, has ordered several waves of U.S. troops to the region, while the remaining signatories in Europe, China, Russia are set to meet to craft a response to Iran's warning. While Trump on Friday affirmed that he called off the planned strike, he vowed a forceful response to Iran's lashing out. Sanctions are biting and more added last night. That's awesome. I like the way he's going about it. He wrote, adding, Iran can never have nuclear weapons, not against the U.S., not against the world. It's really mainly about, if you listen to the neocons that are all over the place surrounding him and in the Senate, in the House, I mean, there's a lot of neocons, the old guard neocons still around, and they are old Lindsey Graham. He was calling for war because he's all about protecting Israel. I understand. I get where they're coming from. Israel is one of our biggest allies in the Middle East. It is the biggest ally we have in the Middle East. But we don't need to start a war where we're going to be sending Americans to go die just specifically because... For what? Just because of Israel? Like, they... Especially when they're not being attacked? Like, if they're being attacked, I understand. They're an ally, we go in, we help them. But if they're not being straight up attacked, there's no reason for us to get involved, period. That's my opinion on it. Democrats, especially those running for president, were quick to condemn Trump for authorizing the strike to begin with, and blame the president for getting into such a tight spot with Iran. Democrats, do you not remember the 8 years of Obama where he was sending he promised he would start getting us out of these endless wars in the Middle East, and what did he do? He further escalated, sent people over there, did more drone strikes on civilian populations than anybody in history. I don't think that this president understands what it means to attack another country and what the consequences would be. Senator Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, said in an interview on MSNBC, the Conspiracy Network, you need to know that the reaction will, or what the reaction will be in the first instance, the second instance, and third instance. You should understand what escalation could occur, and you need to have a plan for it. Yeah, he's the president. You're not. I think he knows what he's doing. He's pretty good at it. I know Democrats will never, ever admit to him being a good president. But this guy, he actually thinks. He doesn't just jump on the words of his generals and his chiefs of staff and all this stuff. No, he goes through it, and he thinks about it, and he makes the decision. He's not a puppet like Obama was. He's not a puppet like Bush was. He thinks about it. That's one of the reasons why I really like this president, and I will be voting for him again, because he actually uses his own mind to come up with solutions, and that's a first in a long time. Let's see what Senator Cory Booker had to say. Senator Cory Booker similarly slammed the president, drawing a comparison with the Iraq war that Trump has campaigned against. This is not reality television, where decisions are made in the pursuit of maximum drama, he said in a statement. As I have said, the administration's clear march to war, false, has dramatically increased the potential for miscalculation and threatens to turn even a minor dispute into a regional conflagration that would be more devastating than our misguided war in Iraq. Yeah, he's not doing that. if he would have did this strike, because this strike would have been reminiscent of what Reagan did, where we attacked soft targets, and and then Iran stepped down. But yeah, the president didn't want to do it because of the loss of life, which is amazing. While defense hawks like Senator Lindsey Graham and Tom Cotton appeared to encourage military action, of course, neocons, against Iran on Thursday, Democratic leaders in Congress demanded approval before the administration took any action. Senate minority, excuse me. I tell you what, my head's all over the place. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer urged Trump not to bumble into a war, saying he told those gathered at Thursday's Situation Room huddle that the Democratic position is that congressional approval must be required before funding any conflict in Iran. And that's not true. The president does not need the Congress's approval to start a war. There are certain conditions where he doesn't have to do that. And this would have probably have fell under those conditions. But I'm glad he didn't do it because I don't like war. Senator Tom Udall, who is sponsoring an amendment to the Senate's annual defense authorization bill to that effect, called for the removal of National Security Advisor John Bolton, whose hawkish tendencies are well known. I actually don't I really don't have a problem with removing John Bolton. I think he is a little bit too much of a warmonger. He's always itching for conflict. Always itching for conflict. I've said that numerous times. I do not care for John Bolton. And Pompeo is on my short list too. I don't know. I don't know if I trust him much. We cannot trust him to hold off John Bolton and other administration officials who are brazenly pushing for war with Iran for long. Yeah, we can. He's the president. You have no choice. You got to trust that he won't just go into a war, which he hasn't. Udall said to the president, "Our Iran policy is in chaos, careening towards war." Excuse me. And to change course, the president should immediately fire John Bolton. Like I said, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Trump's reversal drew praise even from some Iran hawks. War hawks. Mark Dubowitz, chief executive of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and leading Iran hawk who has worked closely with the administration on Iran policy, said the president was right not to be reactive or get distracted. He warned the president against falling into the escalation trap and predicted that the predicate for more coercive action will present itself, and Trump will be able to move forward with stronger bipartisan and international support. But other Republicans, such as Representative Adam Kinzinger, disagreed with the president's decision to back off military action for the time being. I think ultimately, if there is still a response, I think it will be all judged within that context, Kinzinger said. An Iran war veteran told MSNBC. Why are all these people talking to MSNBC? Don't they realize that's not even a news network anymore? But if there's an idea that now we can negotiate or do something else, I think it has the potential of inviting a look of weakness. Neocons. The congressman argued that the drone's considerable size meant it could have easily been mistaken for a manned aircraft, which I think warrants the proportional response. Though, he said, it's an art in terms of what it is. So because an unmanned drone just looked like it could have been a passenger plane of some sort, just because it looks like one, and they shot it down, that's reason to go to war, because it hypothetically, it could have had people on. Get the hell out. That's retarded. That is stupid no matter how you think about it. He indicated he was troubled by the amount of detail Trump's tweet contained, but expressed more concern with Trump's waffling. I think it sends a bad message. I mean, you look at some of the talk about Venezuela and then backing away on that. With Iran and other areas, I think it sends the message that you don't necessarily know where the red line is. Excuse me. Kinzinger said, it will ultimately depend on if there's a response. If that message is sent, but there's not. It will send the message that the red line may not be so red. I don't understand neocons' idea. I don't understand where their head's at. I am firmly for anti-interventionism as long as it's necessary, you know? There are times where war is necessary. I understand that. I get it. It's just, that's how it is. But it's not always necessary. And these are the type of people that are always pushing towards war. They want war. They think war, I don't know what they think. Maybe they're stuck in the old mindset that war helps the economy and this, that, and the other, which it doesn't anymore. You know, back in World War II, yes, it absolutely helped the economy. Nowadays, it does not help the economy. It hampers and hinders the economy. The fact that Trump decided not to do this because of the loss of Iranian lives shows something. It should show something to the world, and especially the Democratic Party, who says he is a racist, xenophobe, bigot, all that, you know. He's not. Because if he was, and he just didn't like Muslim area people, like they always insist, he would have just bombed them with no problem. He would, you know, kind of like Obama did in Syria. He did indiscriminate bombing of buildings. They didn't care. You know how many civilians were killed in drone strikes? Yeah. It should be a war crime. And there was a time where there was international war crime crap going on with Obama. Obviously nothing came of it, but yeah. So the fact that Trump decided not to go ahead and just do retaliatory strikes, that's a really positive. That's just, no matter how you look at it, it was a good thing. We don't need to be messing with Iran that much. They're not capable of attacking us. Sure, we have allies in the region which we want to protect. Well, they're not being attacked by Iran either. Yes, they shot down a very expensive drone. It was a drone. It's a giant toy plane. It's just a big giant remote control plane, people. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, we lost a lot of money. Oh well. Our economy's doing great. And I'm sure they got plenty more drones where that one came from. Simple fact is, I think Trump did exactly the right thing by calling it off. I am, like I said, everyone knows I am a conservative, and I fully agree with the president here. I don't agree with all the neocons. I don't like the neocons. They are the biggest cause of problem in this administration when it comes to national security, in my opinion, because they always want war. They always want to send our troops somewhere or to attack somebody using American equipment. No, stop that. Let's worry about us. That's the thing about being a nationalist. It's about us. It's about Americans. All of us Americans. You know, it's about us. Let's focus on us. Let's not focus on the rest of the world. Globalist thinking people are awful, and a lot of these neocons are globalist. They won't admit it, and some of them will, but a lot of them won't. But they think like globalist, and globalism is bad, people. Do some research on it if you don't. Or if you want me to make a video on the dangers of globalization, say something in the comments, and I'll see it. I'll see if there's enough comments about it. I'll definitely make a video on globalization and the dangers. But yeah, so yeah, Trump made the right decision, I think. I think he truly did. I don't think it sends a look of weakness or anything like that to the rest of the world. No, I think it shows a look of measured restraint. That's what I think it shows. Measured restraint. It's like, okay, so you did that. Now we got something on you. Do it again. And there may be a problem. But it was just a drone. It's not that big of a deal. There was no loss of life. I understand. But as always, like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side.